Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'll explain how you can explode the value of your crypto portfolio by donating to public goods with Gitcoin Grants. If that sounds good to you, then smash that like button and let's get into it. Probably the best alpha that I've found in the entire crypto space is the returns that you can generate being a good actor in the space and supporting public goods via Gitcoin Grants. It's a really good way of giving back to the ecosystem and helping new products spin up. But from a purely selfish point of view, it's also one of the best ways of exploding the value of your portfolio with very little risk. For instance, I managed to get an 800,000% return on one of my donations via Gitcoin Grants. I donated one DAI worth $1 to the Ethereum push notification service project, and several months later I received an $8,000 airdrop, which equates to an 800,000% return. Not bad. But before we continue, we need to understand what Gitcoin Grants is and how it works. Gitcoin Grants is a way to harness the power of Web3 to generate value in public goods. Now, public goods are generally underfunded because nobody wants to contribute unless they can get a direct return. So what are public goods? Public goods are things out in the community that generate value for basically everyone. Things like clean air, clean energy, environmental aspects within your community, such as national parks and nature reserves, something that everyone can get benefit from. And in the Web3 sense, it can be things like wallets, public infrastructure, and services that are hard to monetize but provide value to its users. The real magic of Gitcoin Grants, however, is by its use of matching pools and a concept known as quadratic funding. Now, what the hell is quadratic funding? Let's find out.
Quadratic funding is the mathematically optimal way to fund an ecosystem in a democratic way. The secret behind quadratic funding is the math, and it's not as complicated as it sounds. This is how it works. QF is basically a crowdfunding campaign wherein you match contributions from everyday citizens with a pool raised from bigger donors. The neat thing about quadratic funding is how it optimizes around the grants funded by the crowdfunding campaign. During the quadratic funding round, a donation of $10 can be matched with $75, and a $100 donation can be matched with $240 because of the QF formula. Because the matching multiples are so promising for the best projects, quadratic funding has gotten a lot of traction.
So the idea is that large players in the space can pledge funds in matching pools. As we can see here, there's matching pools for different categories. The main round here has $1 million worth of funding, climate solutions with $500,000, Ethereum infrastructure $500,000, and individual projects like Polygon have funding for public goods within their own domain. And we can see some of the big players here who are throwing money behind this concept, including Coinbase, Filecoin, the Graph Protocol, Aave, and many others. Now, jumping onto the WTF is QF website, we can see a practical demonstration on the power of quadratic funding. In this example here, Grant 1 receives $10 worth of funding from 10 individual users, with 10 $1 donations. In Grant 2, a single supporter also donates $10, but in one go. And we can see the difference on the right here, how much more funds are matched from the matching pools to generate more value for the more widely supported projects. This is a way of making many smaller donations worth more to the project overall. Now, drilling down further into the Gitcoin Grants site, we can see the projects that are vying for donations. These two projects side by side are a great example of the power of quadratic funding. Just 174 contributors have donated $686 to this project Surge, which is an organisation focused on bringing women into Web3. Going to receive over $9,000 of additional rewards from the matching pool, compared with this project right next to it, the Proofs, Arguments and Zero Knowledge Study Group. It's raised over $1,600 in donations from over 400 users, but only receives $6,000 in matching. That's likely because many of the donations were probably in larger dollar values. So the results are skewed more towards the smaller contributors in the space. Before I continue, if you are new to the channel, hi, welcome, I'm Gerry, host of Into the Futureverse, where I cover alpha and updates on all things Fluff World and the Futureverse ecosystem. And if you enjoy this content, consider supporting the channel by smashing that like button, hitting subscribe, and hitting the notifications bell so you get all my videos in a timely fashion. Now, getting back to how you can profit from this. Many crypto projects are trying to find worthy holders of their tokens. And if you're a good actor in the space, by donating to Gitcoin Grants, quite often you are rewarded. This is generally in the form of an airdrop, which is often known in the industry as free money. Now, why do Web3 projects airdrop to people at all? The main reason is they're trying to pass the Howey test to make sure that the S.E.C doesn't deem them a security.
No! God, please, no!
Now, the Howey test states investment of money in a common enterprise with a reasonable expectation of profits derived from the efforts of others is essentially considered a security by US securities laws.
No!
However, if a protocol gives its tokens away, rather than selling them via an ICO, initial coin offering, then they're far less likely to be considered a security. At least that's the theory. Now, as you can see, Badger DAO rewarded Gitcoin donators, as did the recent OP Optimism airdrop, including many others, even Gitcoin itself when it tokenized to form its own DAO by airdropping the GTC token. So donating a small amount to several projects each Gitcoin round is a way to give back to the ecosystem, but also give yourself a good chance at future airdrops. Now, it's a little bit like Forrest Gump and his box of chocolates.
Never know what you're going to get.
And how long it's going to take. Now, you will need to create an account on GitHub to participate, and you get a bonus for verifying your account by linking other identity services, including your Twitter profile. Now, if you're feeling particularly lazy and you just want to donate quickly, I've linked to who I've voted for on my Twitter profile. Now, I donated to 40 different projects for a total cost of $64, but you can see my effective contribution is over $1,000. Which just highlights the power of quadratic funding. Now, when you do check out, I suggest you use the ZK Sync checkout option. That may entitle you to a future ZK Sync airdrop. And it's a great way to get onboarded to the ZK Sync Layer 2 technology. So keep that in mind. Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and maybe consider watching one of my other videos. Bunnies up!